Richician!
Hey YouTube, Dr. Richician here, and I am profiling my Legendary Knights deck. Now, to be honest, this is the weakest deck that I have. It's slow, bricky and inconsistent, but once it gets going, it does some impressive things, and at the end of the day, it's still fun, and that's all that matters. But I am open to suggestions on how to make it, make it better. Let me just show you the profile. I don't think well, actually, there may have been a few changes since the last time I did profile it. I don't know. Anyway, first off, starting with the Legendary Knights themselves, I am playing 2 copies each of Timaeus, Hermos, and Critias. Yeah, just 2, because 3 is far too many and will make the deck more bricky than it already is. Now, you could argue that 1 of each would be more ideal, but I prefer to play 3, like, just in case one of them is in the graveyard, and I play Legend of Heart and the opponent chains Called by the Grave or DD Crow to banish one of them from the graveyard. Which would mean if I had all 3 legendary dragon cards, I'd only get 2. So, yeah, I think this balance is just about right. If you forgot what they do, by the way, I shall tell you their effects. Well, they all share the same first effect, but their second effects are different. Can't be normal summoned or set, and must be special summoned with Legend of Heart, and can't be special summoned by other ways. Oh wait, they have another effect that they all share as well, which is if this card is special summoned, I can target a face-up spell or trap the opponent controls and banish it. Oh no, it's just any card. And Timaeus states that when this card is targeted for an attack, I can target a spell in my graveyard and set it. Hermos states that when this card is targeted for an attack, I can target an effect monster in my graveyard, and until the end of the turn, end of my next turn, I should say, this card's name becomes that target's original name, and replace this effect with that target's original effects. I don't know how often I'll be able to use that effect, because I'm not quite sure what could really be beneficial in the opponent's battle phase, but we'll see. Critias, meanwhile, states that when this card is targeted for an attack, I can target a trap card in my graveyard and set it, and it can be activated in the same turn. The problem is, though, depending on what trap and what effect monster I have in the graveyard, the opponent probably won't want to attack either of these cards, especially not Critias, because they're not going to want me to get back Mirror Force, which I do play in here, so they'll try and get round it another way, which is kind of annoying, but at the same time it makes the opponent think more about what to do in order to get round them, if that makes sense. And then for other monsters I play, I have 2 copies of Photon Thrasher, 2 copies of Heroic Challenger Assault Halberd, 1 copy of Heroic Challenger Thousand Blades, and then I have some Light Swarm monsters in here, 3 copies each of Raiden, and 3 copies each of Lumina. Now, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Light Swarms nowadays, as I said before, but the problem is I kind of need them in this deck, just like in my Light Rays, which I'll bring back and profile at some point in the future. As yeah, I need to get the legendary dragons into the graveyard in order to bring Legend of Heart online, and this is the best way to do it. Plus, Raiden is a warrior, so it works well with Legend of Heart, whereas Lumina is a spellcaster, which will come in handy with the Claw of Hermos and one fusion monster in the extra deck, which I'll show you later. That's it for monsters. On with the spells. So for the spells, I play 3 copies of the main spell card, Legend of Heart. If you don't know what it does, basically I have to pay 2,000 life points and tribute a warrior type monster for cost, then banish up to 3 legendary dragon spell cards with different names from my hand or graveyard, and then special summon legendary night monsters with different names up to the number of legendary dragons that I banished. And I can only activate one of these a turn. Yeah, it is a steep cost. Like, I wish it was 1,000 instead of 2,000, because I'm pretty sure that in the anime Yugi had to pay 1,000, so it's kind of annoying, and it's kind of tricky because I need to keep my life points as high as possible in order to use it, but rather annoyingly it can get to a point where if I'm below 2,000 then it's a dead card, and then the main strategy just goes out the window. But I just do what I can, and then I play 2 each of the legendary dragon cards. I play 2 copies of the Eye of Timaeus, 2 copies of the Claw of Hermos, and 2 copies of the Fang of Critias. Yeah, weird ratio, but I feel like 3 each of the dragons is way too many and too cloggy, like I said, whereas I want to be able to use Legend of Heart as much as possible, and it is the main card of the deck. Now, obviously, I can't ever activate the Eye of Timaeus because I don't play Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl in the deck. Now, it was suggested playing it along with Prisma, which makes sense, but the problem is I'm worried that Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl would be dead cards, which I'll end up dead drawing in my hand, which will make the deck more bricky than it already is. And then it'll be hard to use Prisma, basically. Of course, I could try it if it really works, but again, I just don't want to risk running more bricks than I already do. But Claw of Hermos and Fang of Critias I can, of course, activate. So yeah, if I can get these in my hand and in the graveyard, then I'm all set. Then reinforcement of the army, because it is a warrior deck. Then 3 copies of Charge of the Light Brigade to search for my Light Swarm monsters. Oh yeah, I hate how these are in odd rarities, like Legend of Heart, 2 commons and 1 ultra. Charge, 2 commons, 1 gold. Like, that's just infuriating. Then card destruction, to get rid of bad hands, basically, which is one of the deck's weaknesses. In fact, it's actually, I guess macro and D-fission would be a weakness too, and similar cards. Then 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods to get my legendary dragons into the graveyard. Then Gold Sarcophagus. I mainly use this to search for Legend of Heart, like if I don't have it in hand. Plus, there is that risk that I could end up milling Legend of Heart, which I really don't want to do. That's because that did happen before, where I milled 2 or 3 of them, and it screwed me over. and I had no way to get it back. Hence why I put this card in, Magical Stone Excavation. And yes, that is an original print, that is a Champ Pack Ultra, which my girlfriend just so happened to have with her spare cards. As I mentioned before, she used to play, like in the early 2010s, and she just happened to have this card, and I got it off her, which is, I mean, to be fair, I did get all these cards for the decks I built for her, which would have cost a lot, so, like, it's fine, it balances it out, and, you know, these are more, I love you gifts, in a way. And the last two spells I play are Regeki and Twin Twisters. And that's it for spells. On with traps. So I'm playing 2 copies of Breakthrough Skill. Now, normally I would play either Solemn Strike or Fiendish Chain, or of course Infinite Impermanence if I can. But Breakthrough Skill is better for this deck because the White Swans do a lot of milling, and you know, there is a chance I could mill any of my traps. So at least if Breakthrough Skill gets milled, I can use its secondary effect, which is fine. Then 2 copies of Mirror Force, my second favourite trap. I haven't played multiple copies of Mirror Force for years, like not since like mid 2015, I think. I play multiple copies because it is an important card in the deck, not just to use for its own purpose, but to use with the Fang of Critias as well. And I thought I'd play Mirror Force Launcher as well, to search it from the deck, or just set it with its secondary effects. Then Ring of Destruction. Yeah, I never ever thought I'd play Ring of Destruction in a deck, considering that once upon a time this used to be one of my most hated cards in the entire game, but now that it's errated, I have no reason to hate it. But it is still annoying in Go format duels. So yeah, that's another important card to use with the Fang of Critias. Same with this, Loop of Destruction. Now, I've hardly ever been able to use it properly. So maybe I'll drop it, I don't know, but at the same time, it is treated as Ring of Destruction on the field, which I can also use with the Fang of Critias. And finally, the last card in the main deck, Tyrant Wing, to power up my dragons, and again to use with the Fang of Critias. And that's it for the main deck. On with the extra deck, starting with 2 copies of Legendary Knight Timaeus. Again, these are in odd rarities, which is annoying. Yeah, this is the extra deck boss monster, basically. It's a fusion of the 3 knights. Must be special summoned by contact fusion, basically. It's unaffected by card effects, and when it battles a monster, its attack points become the same attack points as the strongest monster on the field. It's unaffected by card effects, you know, in case I didn't say that already, and if it dies I get to special summon the 3 legendary knights from my hand, deck or graveyard, ignoring summoning conditions. That is right, isn't it? Oh, it's just unaffected by card effects in general. And the floating effect works if it's destroyed by battle. Yeah. And I also play Tyrant Burst Dragon, Mirror Force Dragon, which is probably my favourite of the Critias fusions. I have to say though, I miss Express Gaming's Mirror Force Dragon deck. Like, That was a fun deck. Hopefully he'll bring it back one day. And then Destruction Dragon. And that's it for the Cridius fusions. I don't play Doom Virus Dragon, unfortunately. I mean, I would, but I'm not sure about playing Crush Card Virus. Well, I have nothing to properly use it with, and I don't know. Maybe I'll put Crush Card and Doom Virus in. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to drop for them. Anyway, for the Hermos fusions, I have Goddess Bow, Rocket Hermos Cannon, and Time Magic Hammer. This is the only one of the three that requires a spellcaster to fuse Claw of Hermos with, and Lumina is a spellcaster, so it works. So I can use these together if I want to. Unfortunately, I don't play Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword. I'd like to, but I don't run any dragons in the main deck, and the dragons I have in the extra deck are more to use for both raw power and their effects, so I'm just not sure. That's it for fusions. For synchros, I have Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend, Stardust Dragon, just to use with Raiden and any of my other level 4s. Oh yeah, and also Michael, the Arclight Sworn. Exceeders consist of Utopia and Utopia the Lightning. Links consist of Nightmare Unicorn and Nightmare Phoenix. I mean, I would add some more generic Exceeders and synchros, but I just don't have the room. The fusions take up most of the room. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and a comment, share and subscribe if you haven't subbed already. And if you've got any advice on how to make this better, do let me know. Now, I know there is a build online which doesn't use Legend of Hearts or the Legendary Dragons, and instead uses a combination where you get out 3 copies of Prisma, reveal Tomorrow's the Night of Destiny, send the lights to the graveyard, and then make this card, then ram it into something and bring them out. But that looks a bit too complicated for me to do, to be honest. But other than that, hope you enjoyed, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Richician YouTube channel.